Welcome to New Hampshire's Business. I'm Fred Coker. The state of New Hampshire is taking aim at investment fraud that bilked millions from unsuspecting New Hampshire residents, and the fraud is in the billions across the country. Here are a few New Hampshire examples. New Hampshire residents were defrauded in various ways nearly 7,900 times in 2022, lost more than $18 million. Now, one of the largest New Hampshire financial frauds was a Ponzi scheme uncovered in 2010 that is still being unwound. The New Hampshire legislature created, and the Attorney General's office is managing, a $10 million restitution fund for victims of the FRM Ponzi scheme uncovered in Meredith that defrauded 159 investors for a reported $20 million. More recently, the New Hampshire Bureau of Securities Regulation took action against LPL Financial LLC in Bedford in 2020 over a scheme that solicited investors for what was a sham charity project in Africa. And the stories keep going, including scams aimed at the elderly. Now, with me is the individual responsible for regulating this arena and taking legal action against those who commit investment fraud. Barry Glennon, Director of the New Hampshire Bureau of Securities Regulation, which is part of the New Hampshire Secretary of State's office. Welcome, Barry.
Good morning, Fred.
Nice to have you here.
Great.
How extensive is investment fraud across New Hampshire right now, and is it growing?
Well, Fred, it really is extensive, and it's continuous. Frankly, I've been with the Bureau for over 20 years, and I've only seen just an increase in financial fraud, over time.
What's the most common?
I think the most common that we see is really misrepresentation in the sale of investment products. And there are different gradations when it comes to misrepresentation. There could be outright misrepresentation, such as, we will promise a 50% return to you in 90 days or 120 days. Oh. Or you could have a lesser form, which might be not necessarily disclosing all the terms of a product. So they may not necessarily tell you about the risks, or they may not tell you about the fact that the company is experiencing financial difficulty, or the CFO may have been indicted, or there are regulators, currently looking at the company. So those are things that are information that really should be disclosed at the time of the sale.
I would think the most vulnerable would be first-time investors and the elderly.
Absolutely. Yeah, first-time investors, because they're certainly new to investing and may not necessarily know the questions to ask. And the one thing that Secretary of State Scanlon asked us to do when expanding our investor outreach program is to provide first-time investors with tips and techniques on questions to ask a professional before you actually start to invest or develop the relationship.
Now, you've been traveling the state telling this story, and there are classic telltale signs that when you're investing, that something isn't right.
Oh, yes.
What are they?
Absolutely. Well, I think that the two most common, and they've been around forever, as I would kind of characterize a lot of the fraud, is like just using new tools to perform old tricks.
Yeah.
But I think the concept of exclusivity, that is that the product is available only to a certain group of people, or privacy or secrecy, that is to tell no one about this opportunity to get you to be hooked essentially into actually making the purchase. So those are common.
Yeah. Here's the cover of Invest Smart New Hampshire, which is an investor guide. I'll put that picture up on the screen. It's an initiative to educate would-be investors across New Hampshire, and here's a picture of it and the guide is free to the public. It tells you what to do to protect yourself and more. And they're in, let me hold these up, they're in both English and Spanish. And so for anybody that wants to invest, that'd be something good to have in your hand. Now, let me go to this, and that is the email that you can use that takes you directly to Barry's Securities Bureau in Concord, securities at sosnh.gov. And that's where you can not only make a complaint if you have an investment complaint, but where you can ask for a copy of this Invest Smart New Hampshire guide. And that is enough on investment fraud. Barry Glennon, Director of the New Hampshire Bureau of Securities Regulation, thanks for this briefing.
Thank you,
Appreciate
Fred.
it. And if you missed part of it, you can go to WMUR.com, where it'll be posted all this week.